Have you ever given much thought to whether some of the healthiest choices are actually the simplest ones? Today, I'd like to share one simple story that just might change the way you think about healthy living. Welcome to Start Living Sustainable. Have you been eating well, exercising, and trying to live a healthier life, yet still feel like something's missing? If so, you're in the right place. For years, I believed health was mostly about food and fitness too, until I discovered another pillar of health. Once I started putting it into practice, I realized it was much simpler than I imagined. It strengthened everything I was already doing, and I can't wait to help you experience this too. Hi, I'm Cynthia, and I'm here to help you make confident, intentional decisions through the lens of biblical wisdom, supporting your health, your home, and the people you love. Because lasting change happens the moment you start living it. Before we jump in, if you've been wondering how to put what you've been hearing here on the podcast into practical action and why it's so important to keep it simple, I have something I'd love to share with you. I'll leave the link for you in the show notes down below for my Healthy Home Reset Audit. But first, I want to welcome those of you who have been listening and those that may be new back here to Start Living Sustainable. I'm really glad that you're here. Today's conversation is for you. If you are that woman who's been trying to make healthier choices, but sometimes feel like healthier living has become complicated, not because you're not committed. We're committed to our health and our well-being, but because somewhere along the way, it started to feel like every answer required adding something, doing more, another product, another routine, another habit. What if there's another way to think about it? Not too long ago, every morning started for me the same exact way. I'd walk into the bathroom, turn on the faucet, reach for the same cleanser sitting on the counter, work it into a lather, rinse my face, pat it dry, and then reach for my moisturizer. I never stopped to think twice about it. It wasn't even a decision anymore. It had simply become my routine. Then one day, something felt different. By that point, I'd been working from home for quite a while now. I wasn't commuting anymore. I wasn't exposed to the same amount of pollution and the everyday grime that comes with living in Los Angeles, especially working in downtown Los Angeles. I just remember reaching for that cleanser and stopping. I looked at the bottle and quietly asked myself, do I actually need this today? So instead, I just rinsed my face with tepid water, and during the warmer months, I might use a little astringent, but that morning I decided to do less. And what surprised me wasn't what happened that day, it was what happened over time. My skin became less dry. I was using less products, so I was saving a little money as well. And then another question came to mind. How many other things am I still doing simply because I've always done them? Not because they're still serving me. That simple moment at my bathroom sink got me thinking about something much bigger. And I'd love for us to think about that together, because maybe it's time to ask ourselves a different question. You see, the thing is, we tend to believe that if something is healthy, more of it must be better, more supplements, more routines, more products, more information, all the more things to remember. Have you ever noticed that? Somewhere along the way, healthy living can begin to feel like another item on our already full to-do list instead of something that's meant to support us. That's what I'm discovering right now. So today, I simply want to ask you, what if creating a healthier life isn't always about doing more? What if it's more about becoming intentional with what we choose to keep in our homes, what we choose to bring into our homes? Here's the first thing for you to consider, and I've been thinking a lot about it. More isn't always better. Maybe you've noticed that every time we introduce a new habit, it requires something of us, our attention, our time, our energy, sometimes our finances. But before adding something new, now I want you to try and pause and ask this question. Is this solving a real need, or am I adding it because I think I should. For example, maybe it's another supplement, maybe it's another skincare product, it could be a cleaning product or another morning routine you've been trying to keep up with that you haven't really stopped to think much about. Sometimes simplifying creates more freedom than adding one more healthy habit ever could. Here's something I've also noticed. Our bodies need margin. And what I mean by that is we have to give them time and the opportunity they need to restore, to recover, to breathe. And that doesn't just apply physically, it applies mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Even healthy habits can become stressful if they leave us constantly feeling behind. Health in and of itself was never meant to become a full-time job, and maybe this is what will surprise you the most. Simple is often sustainable. Complicated usually isn't. The simpler something becomes, the easier it is to repeat. And the easier it is to repeat, the more likely it becomes part of our everyday life. And that's not all. When we simplify, we often create something we've been missing. More peace, we need more clarity and understanding, and more capacity to do whatever that is that truly matters. And sometimes that's exactly what our bodies have been asking for all along. Let me ask you this. Where could doing less actually support your health this week? Maybe it's simplifying one of your routines. Maybe it's deciding not to buy another product until you've asked whether you really need it. Or it could be just letting go of the pressure to do everything perfectly, because doing less doesn't mean you care less. It means choosing with greater intention. And one intentional choice has a way of leading to another one. Let me just tell you, that's how lasting change is built. If, as you've been listening today, you found yourself thinking, I know there are areas in my home and daily routines I'd like to look at differently, but I'm not sure where to begin. That's exactly why I created the Healthy Home Reset. Together, we'll identify the changes that make the most sense for your goals, your lifestyle, and your budget. Not a long list of things to do, just a clear place to begin. And you'll find all the details, as I mentioned earlier, at startlivingsustainable.com. Now, before we wrap up, here's something to think about this week. Not what else should I add? Instead, I want you to think about and even ask yourself, what can I simplify? Because sometimes the healthiest things that we can do isn't adding one more habit. It's removing one unnecessary demand so our bodies have a greater opportunity to rest and restore. And next week, we're going to continue this conversation with a question I think many of us wrestle with more than we realize. Are you tired of trying to get everything right? We're going to talk about why the pressure to make the perfect healthy choices can quietly steal our peace, and how one simple shift in perspective in the way we think can help us move forward with greater confidence instead of constant second guessing. I hope you can join me. Thanks for being here and for listening to Start Living Sustainable. If today's episode encouraged you, I'd be so grateful if you would share it with someone you care about or leave a review for us wherever you're listening. It helps more women discover the show. Until next time, notice more, choose wisely, and live well.